the 9th precinct. I've been to the Oakland County Commissioners meetings very often, and from personal experience, every time I've been there and saw a bus, it's one of the double accordion buses, and the only person that was on any of the buses was always the driver, nobody else. And within a mile of the Oakland County building, there's a ghost mall there. They're concerned about servicing the 12 Oaks Mall. I recently read a article where Neiman Marcus, Pizza Hut, Kmart, numerous different brick and mortar places are going to be shutting down. And we can probably start seeing some of that occurring here at 12 Oaks Mall as well. And there's not going to be as much demand for ridership to and from the mall, because they're potentially going to be another ghost mall, just like we have within a mile of the county office. And adding this tax is $66 million just for the first year, and every of the 9 successive years after that, it's going to be more and more each year. It's going to increase. It's not going to stay at level at 66. There's always going to be inflation, and the prices are going to keep going up. This just fuels the record 8.5% inflation that we have now. With the inflation, it's going to cost businesses money. So the businesses, of course, are going to pass all the cost of services and products on to the consumer. The consumer's going to have to pay for those. The landlords who own the apartments and rent out the spaces for the mobile homes, they're going to increase the rentals on those properties, and then the people who are supposed to be going to be paying for the bus fare are not going to be able to afford to buy food or heat their homes or pay for their water bills and all that sort of things with this inflation that we have. And this is very, very poor time to be adding more taxes on the people. We're in a recession, we have record inflation, and this bill is not even allowing communities to opt out. And communities should be the center of the power to say what is good for their own communities, and that shouldn't be taken away by the county. And that's my opinions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Somebody else wish to address council? The young lady in the back there, please. Yeah. Yes. Please tell us your name and where you live.
Hi, my name is Julie Bidet. I am actually a resident of Novi. Wasn't going to talk as usual, but I just have a few words to say since everybody else is speaking. It appears that Commissioner Woodward and the rest of the Oakland County Commissioners need Novi's money for this transit program to be successful. But does Novi really need this money? Does Novi need this transit program? It's an easy vote for existing opt-in cities in Oakland County, as you purposely made their taxes lower while forcing a new tax on the cities that opted out in previous years. The voters in Novi are being disenfranchised, and I couldn't disagree with it anymore. It's a 5% decrease in taxes for the rest of Oakland County that wanted the busing years ago and have it currently. But for us, it's a tax increase. Let's put it in real dollars. If you have a home in Novi that's valued at $300,000, that's a $300 a year tax. It's not. $285.
No.
Are you allowed to respond to me?
She's wrong.
Just address the council, please.
She's
Madam.
right.
Madam, address city council, please.
Does this millage benefit the city of Novi residents sufficiently to justify the increase in all of our taxes? In the private sector, expenditures require justification, not just words, but facts, studies, research, etc.
Thank you. Yes, in the back, right there, in the blue. Please tell us your name and where you live.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Quarles. I live in Novi. I'm here because I do support this initiative and hope everyone will support it. I see it as giving more access across the cities. I think this will help not only the citizens of Novi, but allow them to move, find jobs, have activities beyond the city. I think the council was invited when the commission had opportunities to have hearings to express their opinion. And from what I stand and what I see, this initiative will give more flexibility to our citizens in Novi as they look for jobs, as they look for activities and can move around. I think it's a positive and it should be passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else wish to address council? Yes, sir, right there in the gray. That's you. Tell us your name and where you live, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Huggins, and I live in Novi. Been a resident for about 20 years. I wasn't intending to speak, but Councilwoman Thomas had asked about some statistics. So just here's one quick statistic. I have a son who a few years ago was going to school at U of M Dearborn. So we said, guess what, buddy? You don't have a car right now. You can't afford it. You're taking the bus. We are in Novi, yes, but we're by 9 in Hagerty. So we were able to have him get on the bus at Farmington Hills. So really close to our house, which is great. The issue that he found out was that it took him about 2 hours to get to class and another 2 hours to get back. So just wanted to throw that out there that if we're talking about long haul, trying to get people from the city area more proper to get to jobs in Novi, I don't see that as a big advantage. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, in the back there with your hand up. There you go. Please come to the podium, tell us your name and where you live.
Any of the speakers? I guess so. My name is Raj Schlussman. I live in Novi, another resident. I come here in support of the county-wide flexible mass transit system initiative and urge council to join me in support. Part of the problem, which people brought up about the opt-outs, one of the big problems I see with that is it leads to a patchwork system, which isn't a cohesive system at all that's going to work. And I think that's one of the failures of putting together a mass transit system for a metro area. I wanted to mention some of my personal experiences with the SMART system and with transit. One is I used SMART transport to get to work. I had to drive out of Novi and drive to another city to get to transport spot. It worked great. It reduced my stress. I didn't have to deal with heavy traffic, and I got there quickly, and it was wonderful. It's like, I wouldn't say that would be for everyone, but in my case, it was. Occasionally, I'm not permitted to drive for six-month periods. In one case, actually, within the last 2 years, this resulted in 12 months where I was not able to drive within a 16-month period. I've used senior transit. It's good, but it does have its limits. I had to ride within the city, and that's where my boundaries were. So there were times when I needed to get somewhere else that was outside the city in Wixom, and I could not get there without some other transportation. I've met with others on my journey. I guess since we all have transportation issues, we'd all be there waiting for our rides. And in one case at Providence Park, I was speaking with a woman who had been waiting for 4 hours for her pickup to come. There's, private sources are often unreliable, and people work, and it's difficult to get those services. So it does affect people. I know I'm not alone in facing transportation issues to work and for other needs, but when those things come up, I need to rely on some kind of transit system, whatever that is, and I have to work within the boundaries. Thank you so much. I hope you support it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, in the back. Just tell us your name and where you live.
My name is Daniel Lawless. I'm a Novi resident and Novi business owner. I came today because I believe that the smart system itself right now is basically a failure. It has higher and higher costs, lower and lower riderships. It's basically a big money hole right now. I think this proposal represents the worst our politics has to offer. It's a terrible proposal, terrible. It was proposed at the very last minute, and it's holding hostage our most vulnerable citizens. It's a shameful attempt by the county commission to extort more money from our residents. This proposal won't benefit Novi residents, and it won't benefit Novi businesses. We are in a recession right now, and as a business owner, I can tell you firsthand that people are cutting back on their discretionary spending. It is not the time to be raising taxes. Novi residents don't need this proposal. Novi businesses won't benefit from it. We already have private services like Uber and Lyft, and here in Novi we have our seniors transport services. This is a rush proposal. It's not a well thought out plan. This is nothing more than a money grab from our citizens, and we should not support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, in the back there. Please tell us at the podium your name and where you live.
My name is Sandra Carlan. I'm a recently elected precinct delegate in Novi. So I represent one of our precincts. I appreciate speaking after our hopefully future Rob Smiley. I'm in his district, hopefully. And remember him on November 8th, please. This transit proposal was not well thought out. I watched its evolution at Oakland County Commissioner meetings along with other careless resolutions that were passed. Seniors on fixed incomes are already struggling to pay for necessities. I carefully planned for my golden years because I have no interest in taking city buses like I did in high school because there were no provided buses for public school children in Detroit at that time to a job that I may only need because of higher taxes and costs of living, which will reduce my ability to volunteer to help other seniors. Based on Commissioner Chairman Dave Woodward's own testimony tonight, this, if you listen well, this proposal puts the most vulnerable in our population at the greatest risk. Safety and security for seniors and disabled persons would be reduced. Public bus systems stop at bus stops, not homes of the disabled and elderly like the current Novi system. Your concern that people not be inconvenienced by having to schedule a ride days ahead of time is not as great a concern to me as the reality of walking to a bus stop and waiting outdoors in Michigan winters, especially in high crime areas, which are developing in areas that were previously safe. Do Oakland County taxpayers want to pay for Commissioner Woodward's dream and vision to expand access for those not paying for it? I don't. I have a car, it's 9 years old, but I use it to often drive my friend to cancer treatment or my grandchildren to football practice. I don't want small children and the disabled and elderly taking mass transit. No family member should. But if you tax grandparents out of their homes with constantly rising property taxes, you won't help the poor. I've been attending Oakland County Commissioner meetings, making public comments for almost 2 years now, and have been ignored by the current board. Vote carefully in November. Talk to your neighbors. This is an economic disaster with no guarantee of success. The concept of community input was stressed tonight. Curiously enough, the few supporters of this ballot proposal were non-Oakland County residents, lobbying for my taxes to be raised for them to have access. However, my access was denied because I chose to not wear the mandated mask during and after COVID. They finally dropped that restriction, but the bus clearly said, masks required. Community-based services, micro-transit buses look for too small for social distancing in the future predicted pandemics.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address City Council? Yes, way in the back. Please come to the podium, tell us your name and where you live.
Hello, my name is Kayla Toma. I am an upcoming attorney. I just got my JD, and I'm a resident of Novi for like 25 years. I grew up in Novi, and I think we went to high school together. And, and I'm also a precinct delegate of Novi. I'm heavily involved with a lot of businesses, so several businesses in Wayne, in Oakland, some in Lansing. So what I'm hearing, you're hearing a string of, there's a trend here that you keep on hearing. Opt out, you're hearing opt out a lot, right? So the people that I represent and me, myself, as a resident, give us the option to opt out. That's it. There's also other things that people can use, like if you are low income, right? You have welfare. Welfare also provides transportation for doctor's appointments, transportation for the disabled too. One thing that Woodward kept saying, he kept on talking about the population is aging. I mean, come on, man. Like, we get younger. Do we go backwards? We don't. So everyone ages. It's all about preparation. And living in Novi, I'm proud to live in Novi. You know, we are really good at spending, really good at collecting. You know, inflation is going up. There's already taxes that's already been increasing, additional to come, right? We don't want any more. It's costly enough. And that's the concern. Four-prong just thing that I just described right now. That's what's on our mind. And that's what I want to address to you guys, and hopefully you'll make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anybody else wish to address council? Right over here, yes. Please come to the podium and tell us your name and where you live.
Okay, these mics are always so close. I am Tia Marie Sanders. I'm a Novi resident for like over 16, 17 years. I've been able to actually live, work, talk to, help support programs for many of you have actually helped me volunteer in that space to take care of the very families that we are about. Feeding them lunches, feeding them food on a weekly basis, 35-pound boxes of food that we have to take to their home because they can't get to us. Over 500 cars every single week. You all have also seen that there are people who cannot access certain things, and our library board passed the ability to purchase a vending machine for books because you knew that families were cut off by 96. So you cannot not tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth when you conflate what is happening here. Each one of you at some point, and you know you're not going to look up because you don't want to, you know, the devil is a lie. But you all have actually helped those families. And to sit here and say that you represent them when you know that you've had either help take food to them or help them to get medications or help them to get through whatever difficult situation they had. And I don't care if it's 1, 10, or 100. If you call yourself Novi and you say the people who live in Novi belong to this community as one, then we take care of 1 or 500 or 10,000. The other thing that you all have said, which I'm so glad, I think the only person who has, at least to this point, gave his opinion, and it was the truth, is Mayor Pro Tem stated that Novi really won't be that impacted by this 9.5 mil. I'm gonna say that again. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem Stout, saying that Novi really won't be impacted with the 0.95 mil. Say it one more time for y'all. He has already said, Mayor Pro Tem Stout said, Novi really won't be that impacted. And I'm grateful for that truth because that is what will help me go to the ballot box when I have to decide whether or not we need to have transportation in this community to help those families who, if you all don't represent them, I am proud to, and proud to speak for them. Many of them can't even be here tonight. They're watching live. Thank you to our communities that are watching online who don't have access to our amenities. They don't have access to the parks that we have. And every time you say that we can't have all kinds of transportation, because nobody just said buses. They actually, our commissioners, thank God, have had over 50 years to come up with an excellent plan. Y'all gave them a whole lot of time to do their homework and to pull the stats. And I thank you for doing that, because the longer you took, the harder they worked. And I also appreciate the fact, I only got 13 seconds, I also appreciate the fact that when you talk about choice, they are making sure that we still do have choice. And I'm also very, very grateful that you don't get to decide and I do.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address council? Yes, ma'am, right in front. Tell us your name and where you live.
Good evening. My name is Punita Thurman. I'm a resident of Novi for the last 15 years. I moved back here after having lived in cities in the South, in the East Coast, and while I am grateful to be back, I'm really excited to have this opportunity to vote for this proposal, and I will be supporting it. I am a professional. I have cars in my household, and I am perfectly able to drive, but I would not prefer to if we had a transit system that was actually working and was connected. All of these statistics about empty buses are really not hard to understand. It's not a system that actually works. It doesn't transport you from one place to another. We've heard about people having to drive to a place to get to a bus. That doesn't seem to work for me. The second thing is I have 3 teenagers who I want to have live and choose to live in this region. And I believe in a regional economic strategy, not a Novi strategy. While I am a Novi resident and I am a Novi taxpayer, I believe that we must choose to act as a region from an economic development perspective. We are seeing the harm that has been created across when we are losing out on economic opportunity after economic opportunity because we choose to believe that we could sit in one city alone. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I will be voting yes in support of this proposal.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address City Council? Yes, sir, over here. Just tell us your name and where you live.
Good evening, Council. Aaron Martinez, 29-year Novi resident, live on Shorecrest Drive. First, I want to make a point. I think it was kind of alluded to already. The transportation options offered in the city aren't even sufficient to get people to these meetings. You stop picking people up at 6:30. You come here, you better hope a nice person here is going to give you a ride home. So don't tell me that the transportation that we offer in Novi is so top-notch because you can't even get people to participate in your meetings through that transit. I want to add my voice, obviously, to speak in support of the Oakland County Transit Initiative. Mr. Mayor, in 2018, you publicly stated your desire to see plans prepared for Novi to opt into the SMART system. We had the support of numerous council members, but after the meeting in which that was discussed, that proposal went away. So now, in 2022, the voters are being asked to make the decision for this council on a proposal that is cheaper than SMART, more expansive than SMART, more versatile than SMART. It is the most Oakland-centric proposal on transit that we have ever been asked to vote on. It keeps our tax dollars here in Oakland County for the benefit of Oakland County. And now I know while the point of today was to share information, to give people both sides, the proposal and the opposition, I noticed there were some points that were not ultimately shared tonight. I was really hoping that we would get to hear from our Mayor Pro Tem about the personal financial conflict of interest that he has in the opposition to this transit proposal. As the treasurer of the opposition group, didn't get mentioned at all tonight, he and his super PAC have been actively encouraging the opposition to this initiative. And it's one that Mr. Stout should have been able to disclose, not me. So where does the transit opposition headquarter itself? No further than up the street at the Mayor Pro Tem's office. I was hoping that Senator Johnson might be able to tell us how this proposal would be magically exempt from FOIA, but the proposal doesn't say that. More conspiracies and disinformation. I was really hoping to hear about this dreaded social change that Mr. Razkowski mentioned. But I suppose we only have to look at the fact that the executive director of the opposition group ran a podcast called Blood, Soil, and Liberty, White Nationalist Mottos. We know what you mean when you say social change. We've heard those words since Irene McCabe and Brooks Patterson in the 70s. We know what you mean when you talk about social change in our communities. The opposition to this well-reasoned, locally tailored, bipartisan initiative reeks of special interest money going right into the mayor pro tem's pocket. And I think well-meaning people of our county are being taken for a ride of a completely different kind. Thank you for your time tonight, Council. I look forward to voting yes.
Does anybody else wish to address City Council? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium and tell us your name and where you live.
Good evening, City Council. Willie Mena, 30-year resident of Novi. I kind of hate to change the topic, but I didn't come here tonight to speak about transportation. But another issue that is near and dear to me. Back in 2000, the Novi Community School District purchased a 74-acre parcel of Bosco property near the corner of 11 Mile and Beck Road for $8.5 million. At the same time, a Blue Ribbon Task Force was considering to build a new high school, and that never transpired. And in the end, that turned out to be a great decision. That's $8.5 million of taxpayer-owned property sitting dormant for the past 22 years. For the past 2 years, the school district and the city has been working